Good morning. My name's Ziggy, and welcome to Ziggy's World. Now, from today onwards, every morning, I'm going to do a quick rundown of the main headlines of what's happening in Scottish politics. So this morning, I'm going to start with the the news that Graham McCormick has pulled out of the running to challenge John Sweeney as the First Minister. Now, according to most reports, he had the right numbers of signatures to challenge, but he decided yesterday or late yesterday that he was going to back John Sweeney instead. Now, there's a lot of talk that he was bullied and intimidated into not running and to backing John Sweeney. Whether that's correct or not, I've no information, but it does seem very strange that I could understand if he hadn't reached the number of signatures pulling out, but that's not according to what he said in his statement last night. It reached that number, but after speaking to John Sweeney, all of a sudden he decided that he was the right man to run the SNP and to become the first minister. Now, very strange situation, but there was never ever any doubt in my mind that there was never going to be a leadership campaign. It was always going to be John Sweeney. It was going to be a coronation. The SNP did not want to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks for Honest John to be crowned the leader of the first minister, the leader of the party. Therefore, the first minister, if he gets the number of votes in Parliament, which is expected. So, but then it just shows you the SNP, the way of doing things. They do have a habit of using threats and intimidation, alleged threats and intimidation, to get what they want. They've done it for quite a long time now. So does look like that from the outside. So that's a coronation will be done. John Sweeney will be the new head of the SNP, and I suspect later this week will become First Minister. Another disaster for Scotland. Now, the second news story is Lisa Cameron, the the MP who defected from the SNP to the Conservatives. Now, she's saying that part of the reason she left was because of the bullying, which ties in with the first story. The bullying and the autocratic and intolerant situation she felt she was in the SNP and what they were like. Now, this is a story I've heard from not just Lisa Cameron saying this. We've seen this over time and time again. We saw this through Sturgeon's time, the way she led the party. And we've heard from the likes of Joanne Cherry, who has stated this in the past, and others. So it's a theme running through the SNP. And that's the second story. The third story I want to talk about is the polls. And it shows Labour leading the SNP, the biggest lead they've had over the SNP in over a decade, over 10 years. not just for the general election, but for the Holyrood elections. They have gained momentum, and the SNP are on the slide. Great news for Labour, not so much for the SNP, who are strangely, and John Sweeney has said just the other day that after the local elections in England, it looks like the Labour may not be a majority government and could possibly be a minority government. And John Sweeney suggesting that they will work with the SNP at Westminster. And Labour have come out and said that's absolute nonsense. It's not. The campaign manager has stated that's not true, even though Sweeney says, well, it doesn't matter what he says in public. It's the truth is they will work with us as a minority government, and we will do a deal. I don't see that possible. I don't see that happening at all, due to the fact that SNP are going to, and I think this goes down to why they're in such a bubble. They believe they're going to still win seats at the general election, and a lot of seats, and be the biggest party in Westminster, the Scottish party in Westminster. That's not going to happen. Labour will be the biggest party, Scottish party in Westminster, the Scottish Labour. The SNP will lose between, in my opinion, 30 to 35 seats. There is talk that they could even go down further and into single figures. So why would they have to do a deal? Why would they do a deal with a party that's on the decline and a party that's lost so many seats? I don't think they will. That's John Sweeney trying to play politics before the general election, and it won't work. Now, the fourth story, again, involves John Sweeney, Honest John. It's about the Gupta scandal, which is gaining momentum and is going to be a pretty big story when it fully comes out and it starts being talked about. Because I don't understand why it's not being talked about, because it is an absolute scandal. Now, I'll read you some of this. Right, the Gupta scandal. It was back in 2016, Gupta did a deal with the Scottish government, and the deal was that he took over the Lochinvar aluminium plant and 2 hydro power plants for just £5. And the rest, the taxpayers financed the rest at £330 million, and the Scottish government provided tax-backed guarantee of £586 million. He also got a big estate from the Scottish government. Now, this man around Europe and around the world has been in a lot of legal trouble, and in the rest of the UK. And he has been declared, I believe he's been declared bankrupt. So we are on the hook for £586 million. Now, they were warned against this deal. It's a shocking deal for the Scottish taxpayers. Why it was made in the first place, I've no idea. It was to save jobs and to, again, like the ferries, to look as if the Scottish government had stepped in and saved jobs and helped the economy. Well, it hasn't. It hasn't saved jobs. It's cost, like the ferries have done, it's cost the country millions and hundreds of millions of pounds. And this one, and again, £586 million guarantee that down to the taxpayers. It's our money that the Scottish government are wasting. Again, with another dodgy deal. Now, John Sweeney, his part, he played a huge part in this deal. And I think more is going to be coming out on that in the next few weeks about how much of a part he did play in it. And questions will be asked of the new First Minister of his competence as a First Minister when you have deals like this. And he's the architect of the Green Deal with the Greens, John Sweeney, the disastrous Greens in government. So I think as soon as he becomes First Minister, John Sweeney will have quite a lot of questions will be asked of him about deals like this and deals with the Greens. So I don't think it's going to be such an easy ride for Honest John. So that is this the news, the headlines, my headlines for this morning. Please do subscribe to my channel for a bigger reach, share and like. That will get a bigger reach for my channel and it will help enormously. So if you can do that, thank you very much. And until tomorrow morning with Ziggy's World News, that is it. I'll be back later for a Ziggy's rant. So please watch out for that. So until next time, good morning. Have a nice day.